There was a time when silence ruled the world. When men could hear the rhythm of their own breathing. When the world spoke not in noise, but in presence. In those forgotten days, the warriors of Japan did not train merely to kill. They trained to see. To listen. To exist in a state where even thought bowed before awareness. They called this discipline Zanshin, the ever-present mind. A way of walking through chaos without losing the flame within. And among those who sought it was a young man named Renjiro. He came to the mountain monastery of Kaizen, a place known only in whispers. A temple carved into the mist, where every sound of the forest echoed like truth. Renjiro carried with him the same sickness that plagues our time, distraction. His sword was sharp, but his spirit scattered. His hands moved, but his mind wandered. Even in silence, he was surrounded by noise. Master Kaizen watched from the shadows as Renjiro's focus faltered. In meditation, his eyes drifted. In training, his breath broke rhythm. In stillness, his mind screamed. And one evening, as the sunset bled gold across the courtyard, Kaizen said only one line. A warrior defeated by his thoughts will never defeat an enemy. That night, Renjiro could not sleep. The forest whispered like 1,000 thoughts in the dark. Every crack of bamboo, every drip of water, echoed the restlessness within him. He rose from his mat and stepped into the courtyard. The moonlight revealed his trembling hands. He clenched them into fists. "I will control it," he whispered. But the mind is not a beast you tame with force. In his restlessness, we see ourselves. The modern man with a glowing screen, scrolling through endless noise, seeking something he cannot name, afraid of the silence that waits beneath the chaos. The monk said the mind is like water. When it is stirred, you see only your reflection distorted. But when it is still, truth appears. Renjiro did not yet understand. He mistook movement for progress, and noise for life. Kaizen approached him the next morning. The old master's robe dragged through dust, his steps soundless. "Renjiro," he said, "you are loud inside. And until that noise dies, you will never hear your spirit speak." Renjiro bowed, shame burning through him. "Then teach me how to silence it." Kaizen turned away. "You cannot silence noise you worship," he said, and left him with that riddle. The next day, Kaizen led Renjiro deep into the mountain forest. They reached a small wooden hut, half buried in moss. "This will be your battlefield." Renjiro looked around. "There is nothing here." "Exactly," said Kaizen. "For 7 days, you will live in this nothing. No words. No movement. No distraction. Only you, and your mind." At first, Renjiro laughed. How hard could silence be? But by the second night, the walls seemed to whisper. His own breath felt heavy. Memories he had buried years ago surfaced like ghosts. Old fears. Failures. The echo of his father's voice. The shame of weakness. The doubt that he would ever be enough. Silence had become a mirror. And what it reflected terrified him. He screamed into the night. No one answered. In that solitude, he realized something cruel and profound, that distraction had always been his escape from himself. The more he ran from silence, the more it chased him. Every sound he had filled his life with, chatter, noise, motion, was a wall built to avoid the truth, that his own mind was his greatest opponent. By the 7th day, Renjiro stopped fighting. He sat. He breathed. He let the chaos come, and did nothing. Slowly, something changed. The noise did not disappear. But it lost its power. He had learned to watch his thoughts instead of being them. And in that watching, he discovered the first seed of mastery. When Kaizen returned, he asked, "What did you learn?" Renjiro whispered, "That I was never fighting the world, only myself." Kaizen nodded. "Then your training begins." One dawn, Kaizen led Renjiro to a still pond deep in the mountain's heart. He placed a sheathed sword before him. "Draw your blade," he said, without disturbing the reflection. Renjiro laughed quietly. "That's impossible." Kaizen said nothing. He tried once, the water rippled. Twice, rippled again. Hours passed. The sun climbed high. Every movement seemed to break the calm. Every breath caused disturbance. At last, exhausted, he sat down. The reflection stared back, a warrior haunted by control. He realized he was still trying to conquer stillness, not become it. He closed his eyes. Breathed once. And in that breath, he let go of the need to perform, to prove, to achieve. When he drew the sword again, the blade slid free like wind from the mountains. The water remained still. Kaizen nodded. "You have learned." The goal was never silence, it was harmony. In that moment, Renjiro understood what all warriors seek: to act without resistance, to move without noise, to live without division between body and spirit. That is Zanshin. The still mind that moves through motion. The calm beneath chaos. Seasons passed. Renjiro walked through the monastery like the breeze, unseen, unshaken. He no longer sought control. He had become control. In the marketplace, children shouted, merchants yelled, and yet he moved as though walking through water. Nothing pulled his mind away. His gaze, his step, his breath, one. Kaizen watched from afar, old and proud. He said, "To conquer distraction is to conquer death. For when you no longer lose yourself to every passing thought, you become eternal in each moment." Renjiro bowed. There was no pride left in him, only peace. One night, a storm swept across the valley. Wind howled through the corridors, shaking the temple walls. Lightning split the sky. The monks panicked once more. But Renjiro walked into the courtyard, barefoot, unarmed. He raised his face to the storm. And as rain struck his skin, he whispered, "Still." The world roared, but his spirit did not move. He breathed once, deeply, and the storm seemed to pause. That is when he understood, stillness is not something you find. It's something you become. At dawn, the storm faded into silence. Mist clung to the mountains like memory. Kaizen was gone, only his staff remained by the temple gate. Renjiro knelt beside it and bowed. He did not cry. He did not speak. He simply breathed, once. In that breath was everything: grief, love, gratitude, and peace. He stood, faced the horizon, and walked down the mountain, slowly, deliberately, each step carrying the weightless strength of a man who had mastered himself. From that day on, the villagers spoke of a warrior who fought without anger, who moved like water, and whose silence could calm even the wildest heart. They called him the man of ruthless calm. But Renjiro knew, he was only a reflection of what every human carries within, a mind that, once mastered, becomes unshakable. There is a power that does not shout. A strength that does not force. A calm that does not break. It lives inside every person who dares to stop running, to face the noise within, and to meet the chaos with stillness. That is Zanshin, the ruthless calm hidden within the samurai mind. And once you taste it, you will never look at the world the same again. Days turned into months. Renjiro's strikes grew precise. His breath matched the rhythm of the wind. But Kaizen reminded him, technique is surface. Mastery begins beneath the movement. Your sword, the master said, is honest. It cuts through illusion only when the hand that holds it is still inside. Renjiro didn't understand. He wanted to fight, to prove, to win. But Kaizen gave him no battles, only chores. He swept leaves, chopped wood, fetched water from the river. Each task, a mirror of his impatience. When frustration rose, Kaizen would whisper, "The noise returns when you forget who you are." One evening, as rain whispered through the bamboo, Kaizen ordered a trial. Renjiro was to meditate beneath the waterfall until sunrise. The water slammed against his shoulders like stone. Every muscle screamed to move. But beneath the roar, a different sound emerged, silence within sound. He realized that calm is not the absence of storm, but the presence of stillness within it. By dawn, his body trembled, but his eyes were unshaken. Kaizen saw it, the beginning of Zanshin. That ruthless calm that allows a warrior to stand where others break. From then, his training became invisible. Not louder, not faster, but quieter. Each movement born from awareness, not effort. Each breath, deliberate. Each pause, alive. He learned that control was not domination, but surrender. Surrender to the present moment, completely, fiercely, without escape. And in that surrender, his sword became a mirror of his mind. Unshaken. Clear. Effortless. One afternoon, the monastery was attacked. Bandits from the valley stormed the gates. Young monks panicked, running through the halls. Renjiro felt his heartbeat explode in his chest, but he did not move. He breathed. He felt the air, the dust, the faint tremor beneath his feet. And then, only then, he drew his sword. The battle lasted moments. No wasted motion. No hesitation. Each strike flowed like water cutting through time. When silence returned, Kaizen stood behind him. "You did not fight," the master said. "You allowed the world to fight through you." Renjiro fell to his knees. For the first time, he understood. Zanshin, the mind that never leaves the moment. Later that night, Kaizen spoke beside the fire. Most men live as if they are being chased by their own shadow. They react, they rush, they fall, never realizing the enemy is within. Zanshin is not a technique, Renjiro. It is a way of being. When every action rises from stillness, you become unshakable. Renjiro bowed. And as the flames reflected in his eyes, he knew his path had changed forever. The boy who once sought silence had found something deeper, a calm so ruthless that even chaos bowed before it. One morning, Kaizen set a new test. He led Renjiro to the training field and placed a single oil lamp before him. "Kneel," he said. "Hold the flame in your mind. When the fire in your heart aligns with the stillness of your breath, drop this paper into the flame." Not before. Time stretched. Renjiro felt desire to perform rise, to prove his mastery. Each surge of ego flicked the flame wild. And each time the flame leapt, he felt his center break. Then he stopped striving. He watched the heat, the urge, the memory of praise, the hunger to be admired. He let every urge pass like wind through bamboo. The fire calmed. He dropped the paper crane with no show, and it burned quietly, without smoke, without clamor. Kaizen approached and said, "When the warrior learns to let the fire burn without feeding it, he becomes untouchable."